Right, what we're going to do now is just unpick the news that we've got ahead of the classics this weekend. It's the Epsom Oaks and Derby on Saturday and the French equivalent on Sunday. And we can do that in the company of Kevin Blake. Afternoon to you, Kevin. Great to see you and great to hear from you. How are you?
Afternoon, Alex. Yeah, I'm in great form. Thanks very much. Hope all is well there.
Really good, but I tell you what, let's talk about the Derby at Epsom first of all. English King has been hot favourite since his win in the Lingfield Derby trial. He's been drawn in stall 1, and the last winner from stall 1 was Oath, given an absolutely storming ride by Kieran Fallon back in 1999.
Yeah, I suspect there'll be plenty of chat about this between now and the race, Alex. But I don't think it's the death the death sentence that some people would have you believe. I imagine English King will be dropped in regardless of where he was drawn. It will change the dynamics of the race slightly for him. But if I was up to my ears in English King, I wouldn't be thoroughly depressed about the draw. You wouldn't necessarily have picked it, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
OK, well, Kameko comes out of 11, and Kameko, a few people feeling should be favourite for the Derby. Are you in that camp or not?
Tricky enough, Alex. Look, form horse in the race, no question. I mean, he is the 2,000 guineas is the strongest piece of form we have here, but he's running over a 50% longer trip on Saturday. And, you know, when you look into his pedigree, when you look into his stride frequency and things like that, you know, there is a fair old doubt about him getting the trip. And that would be a big concern. Look, Oisin Murphy is going to have a big job on just to conserve him and rate him correctly and get him covered and relaxed to give him every chance to get the trip. So while it would be no surprise to anyone if Kameko went and won the Derby, he wouldn't be the top pick for me, I don't think.
Aidan O'Brien, needless to say, got quite a few runners. Were you surprised to see Ryan Moore plump for Mogul?
I was, to be honest, Alex. Yeah. Look, Aidan O'Brien has made the case for Mogul. You know, since this time last year, I suppose he's been talked about the one for the Derby, but ultimately he's disappointed, and not just in his season or reappearance this season, but also in the Vertem Futurity in his final start last season. Aidan has made the case that he feels like he's improved an awful lot since. You know, Ryan isn't there himself physically in Ballydoyle to see or feel that improvement. So he's taking a lot on trust, and it was a brave call to get off some, I suppose, stronger form chances. So look, if it comes off and Mogul wins the Derby, Ryan Moore will look like a genius, but it would have been a pretty tricky decision for him, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I noticed that Shamie Heffernan is actually jocked up to ride as well. It still applies, doesn't it, that you have to self-quarantine for a couple of weeks when you come back to Ireland, but I'm guessing they're hoping after the Epsom Saturday and Chantilly on Sunday that maybe not be the case. I don't know if that's going to change.
Yeah, well, if they win either of those races, they'll be able to pay for a nice holiday for the rest of the 2 weeks. But I don't know. To be honest, Alex, I don't watch the news as much as I used to for the last couple of weeks. As far as I know, there's been no change in the quarantine situation. Of course, it will change at some stage. Who knows? Maybe they've got the nod that it's about to change. But look, it's all about weighing up the risk and reward and going over and having a big chance in the Derby, and the French equivalent may be seen as a price worth paying for missing out on 2 weeks of domestic action.
Absolutely. And what about Russian Emperor? I mean, you know, he sort of ground it out in the Hampton Court, didn't he? Looked like the extra distance would suit.
Yeah, I liked him, Alex. He's my selection for the race. His comeback at Leopardstown, or his comeback from lockdown at Leopardstown, was very good, I thought. You know, he just took a little while to hit top gear, and it was much the same in the Hampton Court. I thought he just took a little while to wind up, go through the gears, but very strong in the final furlong. The extra 2 furlongs will not only will he stay, I think he'll improve for it. You know, you just hope that over that trip he has the necessary gears to go where he needs to be to put himself within striking distance early in the straight. But he's my selection. I think he's very solid. He'll stay well. Ground will be no problem. Clearly on a quite a steep upward curve. So in what is a super competitive Derby now and a great race, he was my selection.
OK, so he's your selection. There are horses you could probably make a case for, Kevin, at bigger prices. You know, Pile Driver, if he was maybe with one of the bigger yards, wouldn't be the price he is. And you've got Highland Chief, of course, who's stepping up from handicaps. And, you know, you could definitely make cases for some of those at a bigger price. And it is an open year, as you suggested there. So what else catches your eye? What would your top 3 be?
Ooh, top three now. I'll have Russian Emperor number one. I am a big fan of English King. The main thing I have against them at the minute is his price, but I suppose I better have him number two. And number three. Ooh, no. I tell you, at a big price, I wouldn't be sleeping on Serpentine. I was very impressed with him last weekend, and I could see him potentially running very well at a big price. And Pile Driver, if you're giving me a fourth, I wouldn't underestimate him.
Why
He
don't you
was
just
very
have, you
impressive
can
at the
have
Royal
12
Ascot.
if you like, Kevin. How about?
Well, I'll tell you what, Alex. Such is the nature of the race now. If you gave me four, I wouldn't be going into it full of confidence I'd have the winner.
Yeah, but just to reiterate then, Pile Driver, he was your number 4, was he?
Yeah, if you were so kind to give me one, he
Go
would
on.
be it. I think he proved his stamina at Royal Ascot. He shouldn't really stay as far as he does, being by Harbour Watch, but he looks very pacey at a mile and a half, and I think he'll be a lovely ride around the track. He has the gears for it, and it will just be a case if he's good enough or not, I suppose.
Yeah, so that the Derby's looking open. The Oaks maybe not so much. A smaller field for the Oaks this time. I mean, we've got Love in there, Frankly Darling. And other than that, you wouldn't be surprised, what you saw finish maybe outside of the top two. Are you with the two market leaders, thinking they're the two that are going to fight it out?
You see, I'm against them. Not so much against them. I have very little against Love, Alex. What she did at Newmarket was very impressive. It was a step up in what she did as a 2-year-old. It surprised me slightly in that she had looks to the Fillies Mile run, look to expose her a little bit, but Aidan has managed to pull some improvement from her over the winter. She looks like she's an absolute certainty to stay a mile and a quarter. Analysis of her stride frequency would suggest she's got a great chance of staying a mile and a half. So, look, very solid favourite, but even money fabs aren't necessarily my cup of tea, as you know, Alex. So I'm going to look outside her. And frankly, Darling, I wouldn't doubt her talent, but she did fire up a fair bit now between her season, the reappearance, and the Ribblesdale. She was very strong with Frankie there. I know we won't have a crowd at Epsom. We won't have the test of the Epsom atmosphere she normally would in an Oaks. But I just worry about how free she was. Frankie's a master at getting these horses to relax, but he'll need to be at his best now just to keep her relaxed, not just in the race, but that long run down to the start. I just worry slightly about her being efficient enough for a race like the Oaks, and I'd actually take Ennis Diamond, who finished second to her in the Ribblesdale, to reverse that form. I thought that was a lovely run. She was poorly positioned relative to Frankly Dark, and that finished off her race very well. Clearly stays well, and ground will be no problem. I'd say actually faster ground would suit her better. And given the size of the step up she took from her season of reappearance to the Ribblesdale, I'd say there's great hope that there'd be more to come. And yeah, I could see her potentially reversing that form, and hopefully that would be good enough to nearly go and win.
Yeah, so Ennis Diamond then. Who finishes second and third in this one then, Kevin?
Oh, I definitely have Love second best, I think, and with Frankly Darling, I think if it's not going to work out for Frankly Darling, it really won't work out for her. So I'll overlook her. Who would I put in as third now? Haven't even thought about this. You've caught me on the hop, Alex.
Well, I tell you what, you don't have to give us a third if you don't want. We'll let you off that because we are asking quite a lot. What we'll do, Kevin, is
the exact is surely enough.
yeah, that'll do. We'll take that. And I tell you what, Shamie Heffernan will be looking forward to a holiday if he wins both Derby and the Oaks. But he's got a big weekend.
Might never come back.
He might not. Well, he's got to go to France first because he's riding at Chantilly on Sunday. Prix du Jockey Club and Prix de Diane are the two French classics there. We've been really spoilt this weekend. What did you like in the Prix du Jockey Club? I know that Laurent is very keen on Victor Ludorum.
Oh, and I can see why, Alex. Look, he bounced back really quickly from what I thought was a very disappointing run on his reappearance. But look, history has shown that they treated it as a trial, and it very much proved to be that. He was very good last time in the French Guineas. Look, he gave every indication that an extended 10 furlongs should be just fine for him. And look, in terms of form in the book, he's the one to beat. And wouldn't be a shock if the longer trip even brought about some more improvements. So I wouldn't be throwing stones at Laurent there. I think he's got a very good chance of going and collecting, and he'd be my selection in the race. But I do like Ocean Atlantic. Very impressed with him last time. Should surely be much more to come from him, but I think Victor Ludorum is just that much far in front of him at this point that it might be a big ask for Ocean Atlantique to beat him at this stage of their careers. Maybe later in the season, maybe not quite now.
Okay, so I was going to mention to you about that race on the 14th of May, because Pau Alto beat Ocean Atlantique. Ocean Atlantique, though, won that listed race over 10 furlongs, and Erska finished second there, and she's been running. She ran in France there, ran a reasonable race. She didn't really frank the form, though, did she?
You couldn't say so, but look, Ocean Atlantique won in such style that I suppose the style points exceed the bare form, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Aidan's runners in that then? Order of Australia is the mount of Shamie Heffernan. What did you make of the horses that he's sending there? Fort Myers as well. Is it just the two, or has he got something else as well? I think he's just got those two.
Yeah, you know, second stringers, I think would be fair to say without being disrespectful to anyone. Order of Australia ran a super race at the Curragh just last week. You know, you could make a case that maybe a shade better than the bare form, but does look a second stringer, to be brutally honest.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, a few people wouldn't mind second stringers like that, would they?
I know. I'd love one myself.
Their first stringers, exactly. Let's talk about the Prix de Diane then, because we spoke to Jessie Harrington. She was playing cards reasonably close to her chest about Alpine Star, but I don't know what you think of her. She doesn't strike you as a flashy filly, certainly not a physical presence, but I was really impressed with the way she won at Ascot.
Oh yeah, I loved her last year, Alex, and was really disappointed that we didn't get to see her in the Group 1s at the back end of the season. But it proved to be worth the wait at Royal Ascot. To be fair, she came in and took on all that the 1,000 guineas form line, and ultimately was by far the best. You know, lovely ride by Frankie. Look, I wouldn't have any great doubts myself about the trip. I think it'll actually quite suit her. She always gives you the impression of being a little bit behind the bridle and, you know, going a shade steadier through the race, I think will suit her. Big pedigree to live up to, clearly, but she's making a pretty good fist of it at the minute. And this is a very good race, Alex, isn't it? This is right up there with the Epsom, with the Oaks.
Yeah.
And I really do like Alpine Star now, and I could see her taking a beating.
And, you know, you'd imagine, I know obviously the Alpha Centauri family, what an incredible family, by Sea the Moon. So there is some stamina there as well. And I agree with you, she just sort of keeps pulling out enough, doesn't she? And I think the trip will be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think she'll give herself every chance. You know, there's encouragement in her pedigree there, but the way she races will give her a great chance of staying the trip, I think.
What about Peaceful? Do you think she'll stay the trip?
I think she will. Yeah, I wouldn't have any great doubts on that score now. I thought they always seem to have had quite a high opinion of her. You know, was quite raw last season, but was produced in great shape to win at the Curragh there, whatever it was, 3 weeks ago. And yeah, her pedigree would give you encouragement as well. You know, a mile and a half would be a question mark, but I think the extended 10 will be no problem. And look what she did at the Curragh. Clearly puts her right up there with the best of them. And it's a proper clash now, and it's not just about two either.
No, I was going to say that Rabia was one that absolutely knocked your eye out when she won back in May.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe doesn't have the same depth of form in the book as those two Group 1 winners, but you know the promise is clearly there. Top connections, great pedigree, and clearly held in very high regard too. So it'd be dangerous to rule her out, but my inclination is always tending to go with what's proven in the book rather than what's promised to come. One I give a question to, Alex, as well, is Donnacha O'Brien's runner, Fancy Blue. Finished second to Peaceful last time, but I'd say she'll very much be ready for the step up to the extended 10 furlongs now. Any ease in the ground will probably be a help to her, and I could see her now taking a nice step forward for the trip, and I wouldn't like to be ruling her out too much now at a slightly bigger price.
Okay, well, there's loads to look forward to. We've noted all those down, Kevin, and enjoy the weekend. It should be an absolute cracker. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Alex. Pleasure as always.